Hey the berries, welcome to my patch 12.19 support tier list. As usual, we go through the patch notes first so that you're understanding what's happening in the patch itself, and then we actually go through the tier lists and tell you what you should actually be playing in solo queue as an unranked to plat support. Now this patch is pretty interesting. I don't remember the last time seeing something like this, but as you can see there, lots and lots and lots of buffs for so many different champions there. It's kind of crazy how many buffs are going on here. The only two nerfs are Master Yi Rek'Sai. The notable support ones are Blitzcrank and Sona. Rakan's getting a slight buff, so is Twitch if you really want to play that off meta, and there's a couple of AD carries that are getting buffed that you may have not enjoyed playing with in the past, but we're going to go through everything quickly. Oh, and this change here, just going to throw it like out there. It is possible that Syndra could end up being like a tier 4 support with the way they're changing her, because how she used to be played is when you hit like all of your points in your Q, for example, then your Q would augment, but now they're doing it based on how many times you land damaging abilities onto the enemy, plus levels are still taking into consideration a little bit. But because you're hitting a lot potentially as a support, so if you're going up against, like, if you're playing Syndra into like an enchanter where it's genuinely safe for you to harass a lot and get a lot of damaging abilities going down, you could quite easily then start upgrading your Q and your W and your E with those little extra splinters of shards that you're getting. So splinters of wrath, sorry. So as you hit an enemy 40 times, then your Q will augment. When you hit 60 times, then your W will augment, etc. So I'm not going to go through it here, but it is an interesting look if you are looking for something off meta and potentially could work. Syndra support could work. Okay, I would need to research it. Maybe I'll do a video on it at some point. Let me know if you want me to do that. Blitzcrank is probably the most interesting support change coming into this patch. Couple of nice little things here. His attack speed ratios are going up, and that is largely because of this W overdrive. So you know, usually use your W to help you engage, but now they're giving the W an extra tool where every time you auto attack, you're going to be doing additional 1% of the target's maximum HP. And also you do some extra damage against non-champions. It would be interesting to see if this makes him viable more in like the top lane. We could end up seeing some solo lane Blitzcrank, which could be kind of funny. But basically his attack speed's gone up. His attack speed's gone up on his W, so you'll be maxing W for sure second now. And yeah, you're just going to be whacking on the enemy a lot more, and you're going to be doing more damage as Blitzcrank anyway. So it's basically a gigantic buff for Blitzcrank. I'm expecting him to get nerfed in some other form at some point, because this is quite a freebie for no reason really. So it's cool that they're doing this with him, but I'm expecting nerfs after this and a patch or two afterwards. Also his E has got a mana increase, so that kind of sucks in terms of like running out of mana. Then the knockup's actually been increased in duration, which is kind of insane. An extra like what, 10% kind of on that. Also the E now has an AP ratio, so what you would normally do on Blitzcrank is you would take the AD starting item, mainly because of this 200% total AD. Technically it would still be better to take the physical damage starting item, I forget what it's called, instead of Relic Shield, because of the 200%, but because you've got AP scaling on your ulti and your hook, and even like your ulti here, for example, down here, your ulti is getting a higher AP ratio, so you definitely want Relic Shield starting now. You can suffer a slight damage loss on your E at like the very early levels in the game to make sure that you still get like the 25 AP ratio there, so it's still fine. And also he's doing more damage against non-champions as well, so actually in hindsight as well, it could be like jungle viable potentially too. With the W, he might actually be able to do quite a lot of damage to some of those camps, so one to keep your eye on. It might be pretty broken this, so yeah, we'll see. Echo buff, which I hate, to be honest. Fizz also getting buffed, which I also hate. Garen also getting buffed. I don't know why. I think he's actually quite strong. Jinx is also getting buffed. Her ulti is going to do considerably more damage, so be keep an eye out for that one. Particularly level 6, it will feel noticeable getting hit by an extra 50 on base damage alone. And also she's getting increased attack base damage. So Jinx, decent buff for level 1, level 2 really if you include this. This is like a decent-ish buff, but the level 6 is going to be the main one. Kaiser, AP ratio on her passive increased. That might put her more into mid. It doesn't really impact bot lane Kaiser. She's still going to be annoying to play with. Malphite, AP scaling here too. Could start seeing a few more AP Malphites, but once again, not really. Wouldn't advise that as support. Yi getting nerfed. His E's getting nerfed. Nasus is getting buffed, I believe, again. You just had a buff, so Nasus is in your games in solo queue, particularly if you're like in unranked to silver. That might become a bit of a ban maybe, especially when the game's length is generally longer in those lower elos. AP Nunu, so they're kind of going crazy a lot here. They're getting a lot of random little buffs everywhere. We've got AP Rakan buffs too, so technically a buff for him. Once again though, you're not really going to be taking too much AP anyway as support, so we could maybe start seeing the revival of Rakan mid. Rek'Sai getting nerfed, Ryze getting buffed, oh my god. Shyvana getting buffed. Here's another buff here for supports. Sona, I don't understand why she's getting buffed. She's actually doing pretty well. It says here like Sona's been power's been dropping, but she's always been above 50%, and at the moment I think she's around 51, 52. She was already pretty good anyway, and previously we had a tier 2. But you know, you can probably imagine where she is now after this. Base damage on her Q plus 10, which also kind of buffs like the W max build Sona, because like this flat out right buffs that kind of build too, where you just only max W instead of putting like a 3 points in Q to harass. So this is gonna like help out those people that love playing way more passive and just maxing W straight away. Also power chord slow getting a gigantic buff as well, plus 10% slow, which is pretty huge actually. Not sure how many people are utilizing the power chords properly. There are a couple of cases where, I mean, usually you'd want to do power chord W in big team fights, but there are cases sometimes where you do want a power chord E just to stop someone from getting away or helping peel for your AD carry or something. So in those kind of situations, that 50% is going to be pretty clutch. Tom Kench AP ratio is getting buffed. Yeah, I don't imagine seeing him in the support role anytime soon. But this one is right down here is pretty sizable. The plus 25% on the abyssal dive is pretty huge. Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe we might see Kench mid. Like some of these changes just seem like maybe they could be played mid now because the AP ratios are kind of stonks, but we'll see. Twitch, AP Twitch getting a slight buff. He now has a bit more damage and AP ratios. It's not a huge buff. It's like quite minor. It's like rounded up like from 2.5 to 3% and 33% to 35. I don't think this will see the revival of AP Twitch. I hope not, because it was toxic. But we'll see. Udyr buff, I believe, and there's an Eclipse change. I think this is regarded as a nerf. 6 lethality minus is quite a lot of a reduction. It doesn't make up for the +5 on AD, so I think Eclipse technically got nerfed, which is nice, I guess, overall, particularly for like Enchanter supports that have to deal with some assassins that take this, because overall your base armor isn't going to be that high. So that's quite a nice thing for Enchanter supports going up against Eclipse users. So support buff there. And also might as well throw this in. Jen is also getting a visual effects update. Lots of things being changed on her. No idea if they're good or not. I haven't looked at it personally. Let me know if you think I've done a good job on that, because yeah, I haven't actually had a sneak peek at that at all. And I think those are the patches. There's a couple of skins coming out which we can go over. There's what, a Soraka Spirit Blossom skin. Actually kind of looks good. That's the only support one there. But yeah, Spirit Blossom is back. Now if we go back to the tier list, tier 4 and tier 5 are exactly the same as last time. So if you were watching the last tier list, then you know, you should be well educated on where things are heading, at least anyway. I did move up Rel. No, I didn't. Rel was already tier 3. I did move down, sorry, Soraka and Lux. Probably one of the more controversial things I think I've done in this tier list. Yeah, I think Soraka and Lux are losing power. I put Lux now with the Zareth and the Vel'Koz. I think they're okay still. You can play them for sure, as well as with the Soraka and stuff. But yeah, overall, if you're playing to win your games on a consistent basis, these aren't quite the champions that are going to do it for you, unless like you one-trick them or something. Tier 2, Blitzcrank was tier 3. He got moved up to tier 2. Could potentially be a tier 1. We'll have to see how it goes. If there was a tier 1.5 tier, he would be in it. He is... he had a lot changed to him, so it's quite difficult to say exactly where he's going to be right now, but he is, that is a sizable buff for the Blitzcrank for sure. Everyone else in that tier 2 have been doing quite well. Just remember, Brand does start to fall off once you start entering Plat. Brand is just very good in unranked to gold specifically. Moving up to tier 1, you know, Syndra just got buffed, and she was pretty, I don't understand why they buffed her, but I guess, you know, as a support main, we shouldn't complain. I don't think Syndra needed buffing, but she got buffed. Her win rate will probably go up at least 0.5%, which will put her solidly in that 52% mark, which is pretty much tier 1. Amumi is still doing extremely well in that bracket as well, of the unranked to plat. Zyra is still doing insanely well. She's basically effectively like the new Brand. She does well in all ELOs up until you start entering Diamond. Then Zyra starts to fall off once you enter into Diamond Plus, just because people know how to exploit it more. So if you want free LP, I would highly recommend you start learning Zyra. Other than that, Janna's doing quite well. She's getting that visual update. Tarek's still been doing, his play rate's quite low, but when he does get played, he genuinely does quite well. So yeah, those are my 5 picks for tier 1. And if you want to climb in solo queue, I always say like choose like 2 or 3 champions, and choose at least 2 of those in the tier 1, tier 2, and then you can maybe choose one in the tier 3. I will also say about Rel. Rel's win rates have gone up since her buff. It's really strange. So in bronze, she's like 51% win rate. She falls off for silver, gold, and plat, I believe, and then her win rate starts to pick up again at Diamond Plus. So yeah, it's just something strange. I don't think I've seen that before, where a champion does okay actually in like the lowest brackets, then falls off and then comes back again. It's a weird dip around that silver to plat with Rel. Just something to keep your eye on. Maybe she will climb up over the next month or 2, especially if she gets a buff. And also you got like the season 13 changes coming too. There's a lot of tank items that could complement her and complement a lot of tank supports to bring them up from, you know, you see like the Leona in tier 3. You got Maokai in tier 3. I did move him up actually from tier 4 to tier 3. Yeah, and Rel could easily be moved up into tier 2 with some of those support items. Have to test them out first, but yeah, it's looking interesting for the next season for sure. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the tier list. I hope it helps you out, and I will be streaming the new patch tomorrow on twitch.tv/Bizzleberry on Wednesday. We'll be aiming to start around about 10 o'clock in the morning UK time, which is probably, if you're in freedom time, that'll probably be in the middle of the night for you, somewhere like around about 4 o'clock in the morning. But I'll be streaming for hopefully, I'll aim for like an 8-hour stream, and I hope to see you there. Okay, come have your breakfast with Bizzleberry. I'll shut up now. All right. All right. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Hope the tier list helps you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.